Centuries ago, the sun burned too bright. Earth, it was lost. A catastrophic solar flare, a blinding flash that scorched the atmosphere and shattered civilization. The records are fragmented, incomplete, but the truth remains. Our home became uninhabitable, but humanity endures. We scattered among the stars, clinging to hope like embers in the wind. And then we found Ethelgard, a moon orbiting a distant gas giant, shrouded in mystery and potential. They called it a miracle, a second chance, but miracles, they often come with a price. Ethelgard isn't Earth. It's colder, the gravity lighter, the sky perpetually painted with the swirling colors of its parent gas giant. But through ingenuity and desperation, we terraformed it. We seeded it with life, coaxed an atmosphere from thin air, and built a new home amongst the stars. The key to our survival, the bloomlands. Imagine a jungle unlike any you've ever known. Towering trees that glow with bioluminescent light, vines thick as pythons pulsing with energy, fungi that shimmer like jewels. That's the bloomlands, Ethelgard's heart, its lungs, its very soul. It provides us with breathable air, sustains our food crops, and regulates the moon's climate. It is, in essence, a living ecosystem of unparalleled complexity and beauty, but it's also unpredictable. Let me introduce you to Alara Vance, 23 years old. An engineer by trade and a pragmatist at heart. She works within the Citadel, Ethelgard's primary human settlement, a sprawling city built around the remnants of the original terraforming station. It's a place of salvaged technology and organic architecture, a testament to our resilience and our compromises. Alara is hunched over a complex piece of machinery in her workshop, her brow furrowed in concentration. She's meticulous. Driven by a need to understand, to control, she's not one for sentimentality or grand pronouncements. Her focus is on functionality, efficiency, and keeping Ethelgard running. Damn regulators still fluctuating, she mutters under her breath. Should be stable by now. She wipes grease from her forehead with the back of her hand, leaving a smear across her cheek. The workshop itself is crammed with salvaged tech relics of Earth and components repurposed for Ethelgard's infrastructure. It's organized chaos, a reflection of Alara's mind. Reese, an older engineer with kind eyes, approaches. "Anything I can do, Alara?" he asks. He holds a datapad displaying schematics. Reese is a mentor figure to Alara, someone who understands her drive but also encourages her to temper it with patience and perspective. "Just checking the atmospheric processors again, Reese," Alara replies, not looking up. "The bloomlands are acting strange." Reese frowns. "Strange how?" "Readings are erratic, oxygen levels spiking in localized areas then dropping just as fast. The nutrient flow is all over the place too." She taps a few keys on her console. "It's like something's reacting to our adjustments." The bloomlands have always been unpredictable. They operate on cycles we don't fully understand, responding to subtle shifts in Ethelgard's environment and the movements of its parent gas giant. But this feels different than usual seasonal shifts. It's a dissonance, an anomaly that doesn't fit within established parameters. Alara returns to her work. "I'm running a diagnostic on the root network," she says. "If I can isolate the source of the fluctuations, he's haunted by memories of loss." When she was just 10 years old, her parents were lost in a localized ecological collapse within the bloomlands. It was officially attributed to unforeseen geological instability, a convenient explanation that satisfied the Citadel authorities. But Alara always suspected there was more to it. A deeper truth hidden beneath layers of bureaucratic obfuscation. The incident fueled her drive to understand Ethelgard's ecosystem, to control it. To prevent another tragedy, suddenly an alert flashes across her screen. "Anomaly detected, Sector Gamma 7. Alara zooms in on the holographic projection of Ethelgard's ecosystem. The bloomlands are represented by a complex web of interconnected nodes, each representing a specific region or biological process. Sector Gamma 7 is pulsing with an unusual energy signature, a rhythmic pattern she's never seen before. "What is that?" Reese asks. Peering over her shoulder. "I don't know," Alara says, her voice tight. "It's organized, almost like a signal." "Now let me introduce you to Kalen Reese, no relation to the previous Reese. He's a bloom weaver, one of a small group of individuals who possess a unique connection to Ethelgard's ecosystem. They are revered and sometimes feared for their abilities. They can communicate with the bloomlands, manipulate its growth, and even heal its wounds." Kalen moves through the dense foliage of the bloomlands with an almost supernatural grace. He wears simple woven clothing, his movements fluid and silent. His eyes seem to glow faintly in the dappled light filtering through the canopy. He's attuned to the subtle rhythms of Ethelgard, a living conduit between humanity and the ecosystem that sustains us. He closes his eyes, extending his senses outward. The bloomlands speak to him not in words, but in feelings. Images, sensations. He feels the pulse of life flowing through the interconnected network of plants and fungi. He can manipulate that flow, guide it, heal it, or potentially disrupt it. Today, however, the communication is different. There's a tremor in the network, an underlying anxiety he hasn't felt before, and something else, a feeling of being observed. It's subtle, almost imperceptible, but it's there, a sense of awareness directed at him. He opens his eyes, startled. "Something's wrong," he murmurs to himself. The bloom is agitated. Back in the Citadel, Commander Lyra Thorne reviews security reports on a large holographic display. She's a woman of unwavering resolve, hardened by years of service and burdened by the responsibility of maintaining order within the fragile colony. She represents the established authority, pragmatic, cautious, and deeply skeptical of anything that threatens the status quo. Another report of unusual plant growth in Sector Delta 4, she says, her voice clipped. And now Alara's reporting anomalies in Gamma 7. This is the third incident this week. Sergeant Jorek, her second-in-command, stands beside her. The Bloom Weavers are attributing it to seasonal fluctuations, Commander. Thorne snorts dismissively. Seasonal fluctuations don't cause oxygen levels to spike and then plummet. I want a full investigation. And I want those anomalies mapped. I don't like surprises. And finally, let me introduce you to Joran Rix Kestrel. 16 years old, a scavenger from the gray, wastes a desolate landscape of gray rock and stunted vegetation that lies beyond the fertile bloomlands. He's wiry and quick-witted, with a rebellious streak and an uncanny ability to find what others miss. He kicks at a rusted metal panel in the debris of an old terraforming facility. Another day. Another pile of scrap, he mutters. He's searching for anything valuable parts to trade in the Citadel market or salvageable tech to repair his family's aging hydroponic system. Suddenly he feels it again, that strange, tingling sensation in his head. It isn't a voice exactly, but more like an echo of feeling, a sense of awareness. He's experienced these sensations for years, dismissing them as quirks of the gray waste's environment. But lately, they are growing stronger, more persistent. He pauses, listening intently. The feeling seems to be coming from everywhere. He shakes his head, trying to clear it. Just the wind, he mumbles, but deep down he knows it's something more. Something connected to the Bloomlands, a connection he can't explain. Back in Alara's workshop, she stares at the anomaly data on her screen, a growing sense of unease settling in. I'm running a cross-correlation with historical data. She says to Reese, there's nothing like this pattern recorded before. Suddenly, the lights flicker and die. The workshop plunges into darkness. Emergency power kicks in, bathing the room in a dim red glow. What was that? Reese asks, his voice strained. Alara checks her console. Power surge originating from Sector Gamma 7. She looks up at him, her eyes wide with apprehension. The same sector where I detected the anomaly. A single bioluminescent flower in the Bloomlands pulses with an eerie light. The camera slowly zooms in on its center, revealing a faint, almost imperceptible image of Alara's face reflected within. The miracle was fading, and something else was awakening. The Citadel hummed with an uneasy tension following the power surge in Sector Gamma 7. Alara spent the remainder of the day poring over data, trying to decipher the anomaly's signal. The readings were fragmented, chaotic like a broken transmission struggling to coalesce into meaning. Reese offered what assistance he could, but even his decades of experience couldn't provide a clear explanation. It's almost organic, Alara said finally, rubbing her tired eyes. The pattern isn't random noise, it has structure, complexity, like it's trying to communicate. Reese nodded slowly. The Bloom Weavers might have some insight. He hesitated, but their methods, they're not always considered conventional by the Citadel authorities. Let me remind you that the Bloom Weavers are revered and sometimes feared for their abilities. They can communicate with the Bloomlands, manipulate its growth, and even heal its wounds. Their connection to the ecosystem is undeniable, but their practices often involving prolonged periods of sensory deprivation and ritualistic communion with the Bloomlands border on the esoteric. Commander Thorne, in particular, regarded them with deep distrust. Kalen Reese stood within the heart of the Bloomlands, attempting to re-establish his connection. The agitation he'd felt earlier had intensified. It was as if the ecosystem itself were struggling against an unseen pressure. He closed his eyes, focusing on the subtle vibrations that permeated the air, the rustling of leaves, the hum of bioluminescent fungi. He reached out with his mind, extending his senses deeper into the network. The Bloomlands responded not with words, but with a torrent of images and emotions, vibrant colors, swirling patterns, the sensation of roots intertwining beneath the soil. But amidst this familiar symphony, there was something new, a discordant note. A feeling of longing. He felt a presence within the Bloomlands, ancient, vast, and profoundly alien. It wasn't malicious, but it was undeniably powerful, and it seemed to be reaching out to him, probing his mind with gentle curiosity. He recoiled instinctively, severing the connection. What was that? He whispered to himself, shaken by the intensity of the experience. His mentor, Lyra, a seasoned Bloom Weaver with decades of experience, approached him cautiously. You felt it too, she asked, her voice low and concerned. The disturbance. Kalen nodded. It's stronger than anything I've ever encountered, it feels like. He struggled to find the words. Like something is waking up. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. The Bloomlands are ancient, Kalen. They hold secrets we can only glimpse. Be careful not to delve too deep. Some knowledge is best left undisturbed. Back in the Citadel. Commander Thorne was growing increasingly impatient. The reports of anomalies continued to pour in: unusual plant growth, erratic weather patterns, and now, rumors of strange behavior among the Bloom Weavers. She summoned Alara to her office. Engineer Vance, she said, her voice sharp, I understand you've been investigating the disturbances in Sector Gamma 7. Alara stood at attention. Yes, Commander, the data is inconclusive. Inconclusive isn't good enough. Thorne retorted, the Citadel needs answers, and I want them now. I'm authorizing a joint investigation. You will work with Bloom, Weaver, Kalen Reese to assess the situation firsthand. Alara felt a knot of apprehension tighten in her stomach. Working with a Bloom Weaver was an unusual request, and one that Thorne likely knew she would resist, but arguing with the commander was futile. Rix continued his scavenging in the gray wastes. Oblivious to the events unfolding within the Citadel, he felt the connection to the Bloomlands growing stronger each day, a subtle hum beneath the surface of his consciousness. It wasn't always pleasant. Sometimes it brought feelings of sadness, longing, and an inexplicable sense of responsibility. He stumbled upon something unusual, a partially buried structure hidden amongst the rubble. It was clearly artificial, constructed from materials he didn't recognize. He cleared away the debris, revealing a sealed doorway etched with strange symbols. As he touched the door, a jolt of energy surged through his body. Images flooded his mind, fleeting glimpses of lush landscapes, advanced technology, and faces he'd never seen before. The vision vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving him disoriented and breathless. He stumbled back, clutching his head. What was that? He muttered to himself. What is this place? Alara met Kalen at the edge of the Bloomlands. Their initial interaction was strained, a clash between pragmatism and mysticism. Alara viewed him with suspicion. Kalen regarded her with cautious curiosity. Commander Thorne believes we can work together, Alara said, her voice formal. I'm here to gather data. You are to provide insight into the Bloomlands' behavior. Kalen nodded slowly. The Bloomlands do not easily reveal their secrets, he said. You must approach them with respect and humility. Alara raised an eyebrow skeptically. Respect and humility won't fix a failing regulator, Weaver Reese. Kalen smiled faintly. Perhaps not, but they might help you understand why the regulator is failing in the first place. He extended his hand towards the dense foliage. Come, let me show you, as they ventured deeper into the Bloomlands. Alara began to sense something she hadn't anticipated, a subtle energy that permeated everything around them. The air hummed with life, the plants seemed to pulse with an inner light. She felt connected, not in the same way Kalen did, but still there was a resonance, a feeling of being part of something larger than herself. Kalen stopped before a towering tree whose bioluminescent leaves shimmered with an ethereal glow. Listen, he said softly. The Bloomlands are speaking. Alara closed her eyes, trying to clear her mind. At first she heard nothing but the rustling of leaves and the chirping of insects. But then slowly, subtly, a new sensation began to emerge, a faint whisper in the back of her mind. A feeling, not a voice exactly, but an impression, a sense of longing and ancient wisdom. The whisper grew stronger, coalescing into fragmented images, visions of Earth's destruction, the desperate flight to Ethelgard, and the creation of the Bloomlands themselves. And within those visions she saw something else, a hidden purpose, a secret that had been buried for centuries. The miracle wasn't just about survival, it was about integration. The uneasy alliance between Alara and Kalen proved challenging. Alara's methodical approach clashed with Kalen's intuitive methods, creating a palpable tension that hung in the humid air of the Bloomlands. She documented everything: atmospheric readings, plant samples, energy fluctuations, while he attempted to interpret the subtle nuances of the ecosystem's communication. The data doesn't support your feelings, Alara stated flatly. Examining a holographic projection of their findings, there's no discernible pattern correlating with your subjective experiences. Kalen remained patient. The Bloomlands don't always reveal themselves through quantifiable metrics, he replied calmly. Sometimes you must simply listen. Alara scoffed internally. Listening wasn't going to solve a technical problem. But she couldn't deny the unsettling feeling that something was amiss, a sense of underlying unease that permeated the Bloomlands and seemed to resonate within her own mind. Back in the Citadel, Commander Thorne grew increasingly frustrated with the lack of concrete results from the joint investigation. The anomalies continued to escalate: localized weather disturbances, unusual plant growth patterns, and now reports of disorientation among citizens who spent extended periods within the Bloomlands. She convened a meeting with her senior staff. The situation is deteriorating, she declared, her voice sharp. Engineer Vance and Weaver Reese are providing conflicting accounts. I need a clear assessment, and I need it now. Sergeant Jorek presented a summary of recent reports. Bloom Weavers are claiming the Bloomlands are agitated. They believe something is attempting to communicate. Thorne's expression hardened. Communicating with whom, and what do they want? She paused, her gaze sweeping across the room. I want a full psychological evaluation of all Bloom Weavers. I also want a review of the original terraforming protocols, specifically any mention of symbiotic relationships. Rix continued his scavenging in the gray wastes, oblivious to the events unfolding within the Citadel. He managed to pry open the sealed doorway, revealing a dimly lit chamber filled with strange technology consoles covered in unfamiliar symbols, holographic projectors displaying fragmented images, and rows upon rows of dormant machinery. The air hummed with residual energy, a palpable sense of forgotten purpose. He cautiously activated one of the consoles. A series of glyphs appeared on the screen, followed by a distorted image of a woman's face. Her expression etched with worry and determination. She spoke in a language he didn't understand, but somehow he felt as though he knew her. Alara, meanwhile, was experiencing unsettling dreams. Vivid images of Earth's destruction, the desperate flight to Ethelgard, and glimpses of a hidden facility buried deep within the Bloomlands. She couldn't decipher the meaning of these visions, but they left her feeling increasingly disoriented and anxious. She confided in Reese, the older engineer who had always been a source of guidance and support. "I don't understand," she said, her voice strained. "I feel like I'm remembering something that never happened." Reese listened patiently. "The Bloomlands can affect people in unexpected ways," he said gently. "They have a way of unlocking memories, both real and imagined." He paused. "Be careful, Alara. Don't let the echoes consume you." Kalen sensed Alara's growing unease. He attempted to reach out to her through the Bloomlands, offering comfort and guidance, but he found himself encountering a barrier, a wall of skepticism and resistance that prevented him from truly connecting with her. "You're blocking yourself," he said gently. "You need to open your mind, Alara. You need to listen." Alara bristled at his words. "I'm not blocking anything," she retorted. "I'm being rational." Commander Thorne received a confidential report from the Citadel's medical staff detailing the psychological evaluations of the Bloom Weavers. The results were disturbing. Several Weavers reported experiencing vivid dreams, heightened emotional sensitivity, and a growing sense of connection to the Bloomlands. One Weaver in particular had begun exhibiting signs of integration, her thoughts and emotions seemingly intertwined with the ecosystem's consciousness. Thorne slammed her fist on the table. "This is unacceptable," she declared. "The Bloom Weavers are losing control. They're becoming too connected to the very system we rely upon for our survival." She paused, a cold glint in her eyes. "I'm initiating Citadel Protocol Omega." Alara and Kalen returned to the Citadel, their investigation yielding more questions than answers. The anomalies continued to escalate: localized power outages, erratic weather patterns, and reports of citizens experiencing vivid hallucinations. The atmosphere within the city was thick with fear and suspicion. As they disembarked from their transport vehicle, Alara noticed a contingent of security forces surrounding the Bloom Weaver compound. Commander Thorne approached them, her expression grim. "Engineer Vance," she said, her voice devoid of emotion. "Bloom Weaver Reese." She gestured towards the compound. "Citadel Protocol Omega is now in effect. All Bloom Weavers are to be placed under temporary detention for psychological evaluation and containment." Kalen's eyes widened in disbelief. "What? Why?" Thorne didn't answer. Her gaze was fixed on Alara, a silent challenge passing between them. The miracle that had saved humanity was now being viewed as a threat, and the price of survival might be higher than anyone could have imagined. A single bioluminescent flower in the Bloomlands drooped slightly, its light flickering erratically. A faint whisper echoes through the air, a plea for understanding, a warning of impending danger. The Citadel was gripped by a palpable fear. The implementation of Citadel Protocol Omega had transformed the Bloom Weaver compound into a fortress, its once tranquil atmosphere replaced with an oppressive sense of surveillance and control. Alara felt a growing unease, not just about the treatment of the Bloom Weavers, but about the underlying paranoia that fueled Commander Thorne's actions. She found herself drawn to Elder Anya Volkov, respected historian who resided in the Citadel's archives. Anya was a repository of knowledge, fragments of Earth's past, and the intricate details of Ethelgard's terraforming project. Alara hoped she might offer some perspective on the current crisis. "Commander Thorne believes the Bloom Weavers pose a threat," Alara said, her voice low, "but I can't shake the feeling that we're missing something." Anya regarded her with knowing eyes. "Fear is a powerful motivator, Engineer Vance," she said softly. "It clouds judgment and distorts perception." She gestured towards a holographic display filled with ancient records. The terraforming of Ethelgard was not as straightforward as the official histories suggest. Anya began to recount the events leading up to the exodus from Earth, the escalating solar activity, the failed attempts at atmospheric stabilization, and the desperate search for a new home amongst the stars. She spoke of Project Genesis, the ambitious plan to terraform Ethelgard using advanced technology that was now largely lost. The original terraforming process involved more than just seeding the planet with plant life, Anya explained. It required establishing a symbiotic relationship between the ecosystem and the human colonists. "Symbiotic, what do you mean?" Alara asked. The terraformers believed that true sustainability could only be achieved through integration by merging human consciousness with the natural world, Anya said, her voice tinged with sadness. They envisioned a future where humans and the Bloomlands would exist in harmony, sharing thoughts, emotions, and experiences. Kalen, confined within the Bloom Weaver compound, struggled against the restrictive environment. The isolation from the Bloomlands was agonizing, like being cut off from his very lifeblood. He sensed Alara's concern, but communication with her was severely limited by Citadel's security protocols. He focused on maintaining his connection to the ecosystem through meditation and sensory deprivation, attempting to glean any information that might explain the escalating crisis. He felt a growing sense of urgency, a feeling that something catastrophic was about to occur. Rix continued his exploration of the buried structure in the gray wastes, driven by an insatiable curiosity and a nagging sense that he was on the verge of uncovering a profound truth. He managed to pry open the sealed doorway, revealing a dimly lit chamber filled with strange technology consoles covered in unfamiliar symbols. Holographic projectors displaying fragmented images and rows upon rows of dormant machinery. The air hummed with residual energy, a palpable sense of forgotten purpose. He cautiously activated one of the consoles. A series of glyphs appeared on the screen, followed by a distorted image of a woman's face, her expression etched with worry and determination. She spoke in a language he didn't understand, but somehow he felt as though he knew her. Alara, meanwhile, was experiencing unsettling dreams, vivid images of Earth's destruction, the desperate flight to Ethelgard, and glimpses of a hidden facility buried deep within the Bloomlands. She couldn't decipher the meaning of these visions, but they left her feeling increasingly disoriented and anxious. She confided in Reese, the older engineer who had always been a source of guidance and support. "I don't understand," she said, her voice strained. "I feel like I'm remembering something that never happened." Reese listened patiently. "The Bloomlands can affect people in unexpected ways," he said gently. "They have a way of unlocking memories, both real and imagined." He paused. "Be careful, Alara. Don't let the echoes consume you." Kalen sensed Alara's growing unease. He attempted to reach out to her through the Bloomlands, offering comfort and guidance. But he found himself encountering a barrier, a wall of skepticism and resistance that prevented him from truly connecting with her. "You're blocking yourself," he said gently. "You need to open your mind, Alara. You need to listen." Alara bristled at his words. "I'm not blocking anything," she retorted. "I'm being rational." Commander Thorne received a confidential report from the Citadel's medical staff detailing the psychological evaluations of the Bloom Weavers. The results were disturbing. Several Weavers reported experiencing vivid dreams, heightened emotional sensitivity, and a growing sense of connection to the Bloomlands. One Weaver in particular had begun exhibiting signs of integration, her thoughts and emotions seemingly intertwined with the ecosystem's consciousness. Thorne slammed her fist on the table. "This is unacceptable," she declared. "The Bloom Weavers are losing control. They're becoming too connected to the very system we rely upon for our survival." She paused, a cold glint in her eyes. "I'm initiating Citadel Protocol Omega." Alara and Kalen returned to the Citadel, their investigation yielding more questions than answers. The anomalies continued to escalate: localized power outages, erratic weather patterns, and reports of citizens experiencing vivid hallucinations. The atmosphere within the city was thick with fear and suspicion. As they disembarked from their transport vehicle, Alara noticed a contingent of security forces surrounding the Bloom Weaver compound. Commander Thorne approached them, her expression grim. "Engineer Vance," she said, her voice devoid of emotion. "Bloom Weaver Reese." She gestured towards the compound. "Citadel Protocol Omega is now in effect. All Bloom Weavers are to be placed under temporary detention for psychological evaluation and containment." Kalen's eyes widened in disbelief. "What? Why?" Thorne didn't answer. Her gaze was fixed on Alara, a silent challenge passing between them. The miracle that had saved humanity was now being viewed as a threat, and the price of survival might be higher than anyone could have imagined. Alara returned to Anya's archives. Poring over ancient schematics and technical manuals, she discovered references to a nexus point, a location within the Bloomlands where the symbiotic connection between humans and the ecosystem was strongest. The records suggested that this nexus point held the key to both understanding and controlling the Bloomlands' power. The terraformers believed that by accessing the nexus point, they could unlock the full potential of the symbiotic relationship, Anya explained. But they also warned that carried a significant risk: the possibility of losing oneself within the collective consciousness. Kalen sensed Alara's growing understanding of the truth. He attempted to communicate with her through the Bloomlands, sending a fragmented image, a map leading to the nexus point. The message was faint and distorted, but it reached her nonetheless. Alara recognized the location immediately. It lay deep within the silent peaks, a forbidding mountain range on the dark side of Ethelgard, shrouded in mystery and rumored to hold secrets about the original terraformers. Anya Volkov looked at Alara with a mixture of hope and apprehension. "The echoes of Earth are growing louder," she said softly. "Be careful what you seek, Engineer Vance. Some truths are best left buried." Alara felt a surge of defiance against Commander Thorne's increasingly restrictive measures. The detention of the Bloom Weavers was not just an act of caution. It was an attempt to suppress knowledge, to control a power she instinctively knew was vital to Ethelgard's survival. She confided in Reese, seeking his counsel and support. "Thorne is blinded by fear," Alara said, her voice low. "She sees the Bloom Weavers as a threat, but they hold the key to understanding what's happening." Reese nodded slowly. "Thorne operates within a framework of control," he replied. She struggles with anything she can't quantify or predict. He paused. The nexus point, it represents an unknown variable, and unknowns are always dangerous in her eyes. Rix, chafing under the Citadel's increased security presence, felt compelled to act. The fragmented images he'd glimpsed within the buried structure haunted his dreams, visions of a lost civilization and a symbiotic connection that transcended human understanding. He believed the answers lay hidden somewhere in the gray wastes, beyond the reach of Thorn's watchful gaze. He contacted Alara through a clandestine communication channel, proposing an audacious plan. "I know a place," he messaged. "A facility buried deep within the wastes. It might hold information about the Bloomlands and about what they're hiding from us." Alara hesitated. Working with Rix was risky. He was a known rebel, distrusted by the Citadel authorities, but she recognized his resourcefulness and his genuine desire to uncover the truth. She agreed to meet him under cover of darkness. Kalen, confined within the Bloom Weaver compound, sensed Alara's growing determination. He attempted to communicate with her through the Bloomlands, sending a fragmented image, a warning about the dangers that lay ahead. The message was faint and distorted, but it reached her nonetheless. "Be careful," he transmitted. "The gray wastes are not as barren as they appear." Under the cloak of a moonless night, Alara met Rix at the edge of the gray wastes. He led her through a labyrinthine network of canyons and ravines, avoiding Citadel patrols and surveillance drones. The landscape was desolate and unforgiving, a stark contrast to the vibrant beauty of the Bloomlands. "This place, it feels different," Alara said, shivering in the cold night air. "Empty." "It's not empty," Rix replied, his eyes scanning the surroundings. "It's just quiet." They reached a hidden canyon where a partially buried structure emerged from the rock face, the same facility Rix had discovered earlier. He used a salvaged access panel to override the security systems and open the sealed doorway. The interior was dimly lit by emergency power, revealing a complex network of corridors and chambers. "This place is ancient," Alara said, examining the technology with a mixture of awe and apprehension. "Far older than anything I've ever seen." As they explored the facility, they discovered a series of holographic recordings, messages left by the original terraforming team. The recordings revealed a shocking truth. The Bloomlands were not a natural phenomenon. They were engineered, created as part of Project Genesis to facilitate the symbiotic connection between humans and Ethelgard's ecosystem. "The Bloomlands are more than just plants," one recording stated. "They are a living network capable of transmitting thoughts, emotions, and memories." Commander Thorn, alerted to Rix's activities by Citadel surveillance systems, dispatched a security team to intercept them. She suspected Alara was involved, but she lacked concrete evidence to justify an arrest. "Engineer Vance is playing a dangerous game," Thorn said, her voice cold. "Bring them in, alive." Rix and Alara stumbled upon a central chamber, the heart of the facility. In the center of the room stood a massive console, displaying a complex schematic of Ethelgard's ecosystem. As they examined the data, they discovered something even more disturbing. Project Genesis had not been entirely successful. The symbiotic connection between humans and the Bloomlands was unstable, prone to unpredictable fluctuations. "The terraformers attempted to control the Bloomlands," Alara said, her voice trembling with disbelief, "but they underestimated its power." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility. Citadel's security forces breached the entrance, surrounding them. Thorn appeared at the doorway, her expression grim. "Engineer Vance," she said, her voice laced with disappointment. "I had hoped you were smarter than this." Rix stepped forward, shielding Alara from view. "We know the truth now," he declared defiantly. "We know what you're hiding." The holographic schematic on the console flickered and shifted, revealing a hidden layer of data, a map leading to the nexus point within the silent peaks. A single word appeared on the screen: awakening. Alara and Rix were taken into custody, transported back to the Citadel under heavy guard. The discovery of the Grey Waste facility sent shockwaves through the administration, confirming their suspicions about a deeper conspiracy within the terraforming project's history. Commander Thorn, while publicly condemning their actions, privately recognized the significance of the information they had uncovered. She ordered a full investigation into Project Genesis, tasking a team of historians and engineers with analyzing the recovered data. Kalen, despite his confinement, sensed Alara's predicament through the Bloomlands. He felt her frustration, her determination to uncover the truth, and the growing danger she faced. He attempted to communicate with Anya Volkov, seeking her guidance and support. "Alara is in trouble," he transmitted. "Thorn knows too much." Anya responded with a sense of urgency. "The silent peaks hold the key," she replied. "The nexus point lies hidden within their depths. It's time to confront the past." Rix, confined alongside Alara, remained defiant despite the harsh conditions. He continued to analyze the data recovered from the Grey Waste facility, searching for clues that might lead them to the nexus point. He discovered references to a series of ancient structures built into the silent peaks, remnants of the original terraforming team's research outpost. "The peaks weren't just mountains," Rix said, pointing to a schematic on his datapad. "They were a laboratory, Alara, initially despondent about their capture, found renewed purpose in Rix's determination. She realized that uncovering the truth was more important than personal freedom. They began formulating a plan, a desperate gamble to escape custody and reach the Silent Peaks. Commander Thorne, meanwhile, received a report from her intelligence team confirming rumors of an ancient pathway leading through the Silent Peaks, a route known only to a select few. The pathway bypassed Citadel's security checkpoints, offering a clandestine means of reaching the nexus point. "Someone knows about the pathway," Thorne said, her voice tight with suspicion. "Find out who and shut them down." Anya Volkov, defying Citadel protocols, provided Kalen with crucial information coordinates leading to a hidden access point within the Silent Peaks, a location known only to the Bloom Weavers. She urged him to reach Alara before it was too late. "The nexus point is not just a place," Anya said softly. "It's a convergence of consciousness. It holds the potential for both great healing and unimaginable destruction." Kalen, utilizing his connection to the Bloomlands, orchestrated a diversion within the Citadel, triggering a series of minor power outages that disrupted security systems and created an opportunity for escape. He slipped past guards and commandeered a transport vehicle, setting course for the Silent Peaks. Alara and Rix, capitalizing on the chaos, managed to overpower their guards and seize control of a maintenance drone. They navigated through the Citadel's ventilation system, evading surveillance cameras and security patrols. Their destination, an abandoned cargo bay where they could access a transport vehicle of their own. Commander Thorne, realizing she had been outmaneuvered, ordered a full-scale lockdown of the Citadel. "Seal all exits," she commanded. "No one leaves," as Alara and Rix prepared to launch. They received a coded message from Kalen confirming his arrival at the Silent Peaks and providing them with coordinates for their rendezvous point. They launched into the night sky, leaving behind the confines of the Citadel and venturing towards the unknown dangers that awaited them in the mountains. The transport vehicle ascended through the atmosphere, revealing a breathtaking panorama of Ethelgard's landscape, the vibrant Bloomlands stretching out below. The desolate gray wastes fading into the distance and the imposing peaks of the silent mountains looming ahead. "We're heading into uncharted territory," Alara said, her voice filled with a mixture of apprehension and excitement. Rix grinned. "That's where the best discoveries are made." As they approached the Silent Peaks, they noticed an unusual energy signature emanating from within the mountains, a subtle hum that resonated deep within their bones. They were getting closer to the nexus point. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the transport vehicle. Commander Thorne's voice crackled over the comm system. "Engineer Vance, Rix Kestrel, you are ordered to return to the Citadel immediately." Alara ignored the command, focusing on navigating through the treacherous mountain passes. They were being pursued not by security drones or patrol ships, but by something far more sinister. Something that seemed to be woven into the very fabric of the mountains themselves. The pursuit through the Silent Peaks was relentless. Commander Thorne deployed specialized drones equipped with advanced tracking technology and energy weapons, attempting to intercept Alara and Rix's transport vehicle. But the mountains themselves seemed to be working against her treacherous terrain, unpredictable weather patterns, and a strange interference that disrupted communication signals. Kalen, navigating through the Bloomlands, sensed the danger facing Alara and Rix. He attempted to disrupt Thorne's pursuit by creating localized distortions in the ecosystem, triggering minor landslides and diverting energy flows. But his efforts were hampered by the growing influence of an unknown force within the Silent Peaks, a presence that seemed to be manipulating the environment itself. "Something's protecting this place," Kalen transmitted, his voice strained. "It's more powerful than I anticipated." Alara and Rix struggled to maintain control of their transport vehicle as it navigated through the narrow mountain passes. The energy signature emanating from within the peaks intensified a palpable hum that resonated deep within their bones. They were getting closer to the nexus point, but they weren't alone. They noticed strange formations emerging from the rock face, colossal statues carved into the mountainside. Depicting humanoid figures with elongated limbs and intricate facial features, the statues seemed to be guarding something, protecting a secret hidden deep within the peaks. "What are those?" Rix asked, his voice filled with awe and apprehension. "They're guardians," Alara replied, consulting her datapad. "Ancient constructs designed to protect the nexus point." Suddenly, the transport vehicle was attacked by energy projectiles fired from concealed emplacements within the statues. Thorne's drones were closing in, attempting to flank them. The situation was rapidly deteriorating. Kalen, sensing their peril, unleashed a surge of energy through the Bloomlands, creating a localized electromagnetic pulse that temporarily disabled Thorne's drones and disrupted the Guardian's defenses. It bought Alara and Rix some time. But it also alerted whatever force controlled the Silent Peaks to their presence. "They know we're here," Alara said, her voice tight with urgency. "We need to find a way through." Rix spotted an opening, a narrow crevice in the mountainside that appeared to lead deeper into the peaks. He steered the transport vehicle towards the crevice, narrowly avoiding another volley of energy projectiles. The passage was treacherous and unstable, but it offered their only chance of escape. As they navigated through the crevice, they encountered strange bioluminescent flora plants unlike anything they had ever seen before. The air shimmered with an ethereal glow, and the walls of the passage seemed to pulse with a faint energy. They were entering a realm beyond human comprehension. Commander Thorne, frustrated by Kalen's interference, ordered her remaining forces to pursue them relentlessly. She was determined to capture Alara and Rix not just for their defiance, but also to secure the Nexus Point before it fell into the wrong hands. Anya Volkov, monitoring the situation from the Citadel, felt a growing sense of dread. The ancient force protecting the Silent Peaks was awakening, its power intensifying with each passing moment. She knew that Alara and Rix were walking into a trap, but she also believed they held the key to unlocking the secrets of the Nexus Point. "Be wary," Anya transmitted to Kalen. "The Guardians are not what they seem." Kalen received her message just as he sensed a shift in the Bloomland's energy, a surge of power emanating from the Silent Peaks that threatened to overwhelm his connection. He realized that Anya was right, something far more significant than he had anticipated was at play. Alara and Rix emerged from the crevice into a vast cavern illuminated by an otherworldly glow. In the center of the cavern stood a colossal structure, a crystalline spire radiating immense energy. This was the Nexus Point, but they were not alone. Standing before the spire were several figures cloaked in shadow, beings that seemed to be part human, part plant, and part something else entirely. They were the guardians of the peak, ancient protectors of the Nexus Point, tasked with safeguarding its power from those who would misuse it. "You have trespassed upon sacred ground," one of the guardians said, his voice echoing through the cavern. "Turn back now or face the consequences." Alara and Rick stood before the guardians of the peak, their transport vehicle a silent testament to their defiance. The cavern pulsed with an otherworldly energy, a symphony of light and sound that resonated deep within their minds. The guardians emanated an aura of ancient wisdom and formidable power, their presence both intimidating and strangely comforting. "We mean no harm," Alara said, her voice steady despite the palpable tension in the air. "We seek only to understand." The lead guardian regarded her with piercing eyes. "Understanding comes at a price," he replied, his voice echoing through the cavern. "The Nexus Point holds secrets that are not meant for mortal minds." Rick stepped forward, challenging the Guardian's authority. "We know about Project Genesis," he said defiantly. "We know you've been hiding something." The Guardians exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable. The lead Guardian raised his hand, silencing Rick's. "Your knowledge is incomplete," he said. "You understand only a fraction of the truth." He gestured towards the crystalline spire at the center of the cavern. "The Nexus Point is not merely a source of power. It is a repository of memories, the collective consciousness of all who have ever connected with the Bloomlands." Kalen, sensing Alara and Rix's predicament through the Bloomlands, attempted to intervene. He focused his energy on disrupting the Guardians' defenses, creating a momentary distraction that would allow them to escape. But his efforts were met with an unexpected resistance, a force field that seemed to repel his connection to the ecosystem. "You interfere in matters beyond your comprehension," the lead guardian said, addressing Kalen's presence within the Bloomlands. "Your meddling will not be tolerated." Commander Thorne, monitoring the situation from afar, prepared for her final assault. She dispatched a squadron of elite security forces to breach the cavern and secure the Nexus Point. She believed that capturing Alara and Rix would finally allow her to control the escalating crisis. Anya Volkov, witnessing Thorne's reckless actions, felt a surge of despair. She knew that Thorne's intervention could trigger a catastrophic event, unleashing the full power of the Nexus Point upon Ethelgard. She attempted to warn Thorne, but her communications were blocked by Citadel security protocols. Alara, ignoring the Guardian's warnings, approached the crystalline spire. As she drew closer, she felt a surge of energy coursing through her veins, a flood of memories and emotions that overwhelmed her senses. She saw visions of Earth's destruction, the desperate flight to Ethelgard, and the creation of the Bloomlands. But she also saw something else, a hidden truth about the Nexus Point's true purpose. "It's not just a repository of memories," Alara said, her voice trembling with revelation. "It's a gateway." The Guardians recoiled in surprise. "What do you mean?" the lead Guardian asked, his voice laced with concern. "A gateway to what?" Rix demanded, joining Alara at the spire's base. Alara looked into the crystalline structure and saw swirling images of other worlds, distant galaxies, alien landscapes, and civilizations beyond human comprehension. The Nexus Point was not just a connection to Ethelgard's ecosystem, it was a portal to the vast expanse of the universe. Suddenly, the cavern began to tremble. The crystalline spire pulsed with an intense light, and a vortex of energy opened before them, revealing a glimpse of another reality. Commander Thorne's security forces breached the cavern, firing upon Alara and Rix. Kalen, sensing the imminent danger, unleashed a final surge of energy through the Bloomlands, creating a protective shield around Alara and Rix. The shield deflected Thorne's attack, but it also triggered a chain reaction within the nexus point, amplifying its power exponentially. The amplified energy from the nexus point surged outwards, engulfing the cavern and disrupting reality itself. The crystalline spire pulsed with blinding light, creating a vortex of swirling colors that threatened to tear apart the very fabric of space-time. Commander Thorne's security forces were thrown back by the force of the blast, their weapons rendered useless. Alara and Rix found themselves suspended within the vortex, surrounded by fragments of memories. Visions of distant worlds and echoes of forgotten civilizations. The nexus point was opening a gateway not just to other places, but to other possibilities. Kalen, struggling against the overwhelming energy surge, attempted to stabilize the connection between Alara and Rix and the Bloomlands. He knew that if they were severed from the ecosystem, they would be lost forever within the vortex. "Hold on," he transmitted desperately. "I'm trying to anchor you." The Guardians of the Peak watched in horror as the nexus point spiraled out of control. Their ancient protocols dictated that the gateway should remain sealed, protected from those who were not ready for its power. But Alara and Rix had inadvertently triggered a chain reaction, unleashing forces beyond their comprehension. "We must contain it," the lead Guardian exclaimed, attempting to regain control of the situation. "Seal the vortex before it consumes us all." Anya Volkov, witnessing the unfolding chaos from the Citadel, realized that Thorne's actions had unleashed something far more dangerous than she could have ever imagined. She knew that Ethelgard's fate hung in the balance, dependent on Alara and Rix's ability to navigate the vortex and restore order. Commander Thorne, recovering from the initial blast, ordered her remaining forces to focus their fire on Alara and Rix, determined to prevent them from escaping through the gateway. She believed that they were responsible for unleashing this chaos, and she was determined to hold them accountable. As Alara and Rix navigated deeper into the vortex, they encountered strange entities, beings of pure energy who seemed to exist outside of time and space. These entities communicated with them telepathically, revealing fragments of information about the Nexus Point's origins and its connection to the wider universe. "The Nexus Point is not a creation," one entity said, its voice echoing within their minds. "It is an echo, a remnant of a civilization that predates even Earth itself." Rix felt a surge of understanding, a sense of interconnectedness with all things. He realized that humanity's journey through the stars was not just about survival. It was about rediscovering a lost heritage, reclaiming a forgotten destiny. Alara, meanwhile, focused on stabilizing the vortex, using her engineering skills to manipulate the energy flows and prevent it from collapsing in on itself. She realized that the gateway wasn't something to be feared. It was an opportunity, a chance to explore the vastness of the universe and unlock secrets beyond human comprehension. Suddenly, they encountered another presence within the vortex, a shadowy figure lurking in the depths of the swirling energy. The figure emanated an aura of malice and power, its intentions unclear. "Who are you?" Alara demanded, her voice trembling with apprehension. The figure emerged from the shadows, revealing itself to be a corrupted guardian of the Peak, one who had succumbed to the lure of forbidden knowledge and sought to exploit the Nexus Point for his own nefarious purposes. "I am the key," the corrupted guardian said, his voice dripping with arrogance. "The one who will unlock the true potential of this gateway." The corrupted guardian lunged at Alara and Rix, unleashing a torrent of dark energy that threatened to consume them. He revealed his plan to use the Nexus Point to open pathways to other dimensions, conquering new worlds and enslaving their inhabitants. His ambition was fueled by a twisted sense of superiority, believing himself destined to rule over the universe. "The Bloomlands were meant to be more than just a sanctuary," he sneered. "They are a weapon, a key to unlocking unimaginable power." Kalen, sensing the imminent danger, channeled his energy through the Bloomlands, creating a protective barrier around Alara and Rix, but the corrupted guardian's power was immense, threatening to overwhelm Kalen's connection to the ecosystem. "He's drawing strength from the Nexus Point," Kalen transmitted urgently. "We need to sever his connection." Alara realized that destroying the corrupted guardian wouldn't be enough. They needed to neutralize his influence on the Nexus Point itself. She examined the vortex, searching for a weakness, a flaw in its structure that could disrupt the gateway's stability. Rix, utilizing his scavenging skills and quick thinking, identified a series of energy conduits within the vortex pathways that channeled power from the Nexus Point to the corrupted Guardian. He theorized that disrupting these conduits would weaken the Guardian's connection and create an opportunity for attack. "I can overload those conduits," Rix said, pointing to the holographic schematics displayed before them, "but I need a distraction." Alara devised a plan, using her engineering skills to create a localized electromagnetic pulse that would temporarily disable the corrupted Guardian's defenses, allowing Rix to execute his attack. She activated the device, unleashing a surge of energy that momentarily stunned the Guardian. Rick seized the opportunity, manipulating the energy conduits and creating a chain reaction that disrupted the flow of power to the corrupted Guardian. The Guardian roared in frustration as his connection to the Nexus Point weakened. Commander Thorne, witnessing the unfolding battle from afar, realized that Alara and Rix were not merely rebels. They were protectors defending Ethelgard from an unknown threat. She ordered her forces to cease fire, recognizing that their intervention could inadvertently empower the corrupted Guardian. Anya Volkov, monitoring the situation from the Citadel, felt a surge of hope. She knew that Alara and Rix were facing insurmountable odds, but she also believed in their ability to overcome adversity. She transmitted a message of encouragement, reminding them of the importance of their mission. The weakened, corrupted Guardian attempted to regain control of the Nexus Point, unleashing another wave of dark energy. But Alara and Rix were ready for him. They combined their skills, Alara's engineering expertise and Rix's resourcefulness, to create a counter-frequency that neutralized the Guardian's attack. As the corrupted Guardian faltered, Kalen unleashed a final surge of energy through the Bloomlands, severing his connection to the Nexus Point completely. The Guardian screamed in agony as he was banished from the vortex, disappearing into the swirling chaos. With the corrupted Guardian defeated, the vortex began to stabilize. The crystalline spire pulsed with renewed light, and the gateway slowly started to close. Alara realized that they had averted a catastrophe, preventing the corrupted Guardian from unleashing his destructive ambitions upon the universe. As the vortex began to collapse, Alara and Rix found themselves drawn back towards the cavern within the silent peaks. The crystalline spire dimmed, its energy receding as the gateway sealed itself shut. They were left standing in a silent chamber, surrounded by the remnants of their battle with the corrupted Guardian. Kalen, his connection to the Bloomlands strained but intact, appeared beside them. "The Nexus Point is stabilizing," he said, his voice weary. "But its power remains volatile." They turned their attention towards the ancient structures within the cavern, the remnants of the original terraforming team's research outpost. Alara began analyzing the data logs recovered from the facility, searching for clues about the true purpose of the Nexus Point and the secrets it held. Rix explored a hidden chamber behind the crystalline spire, discovering a series of holographic recordings left by the lead scientist of Project Genesis, Dr. Lyra Meridian. The recordings revealed that the Nexus Point was not merely a gateway to other dimensions. It was a key to unlocking a dormant technology capable of manipulating spacetime itself. "We believed we were creating a symbiotic relationship between humans and the Bloomlands," Dr. Meridian's holographic image explained, "but we inadvertently stumbled upon something far greater, a means of traversing the universe, of bending reality to our will." Commander Thorne, having reevaluated her position based on Alara and Rix's actions, arrived at the Silent Peaks with a contingent of scientists and engineers. She recognized that the Nexus Point represented an unprecedented opportunity, a chance to advance humanity's understanding of the universe beyond anything previously imagined. "You have averted a crisis," Thorne said, addressing Alara and Rix, "but you have also revealed something extraordinary." Anya Volkov joined them, her presence signifying a shift in the Citadel's perspective. She acknowledged Alara and Rix's courage and wisdom, recognizing that their actions had saved Ethelgard from potential destruction. "The Nexus Point is not a weapon," Anya said firmly. "It is a tool, a means of exploration and understanding." Kalen, sensing the change in attitude within the Citadel administration, felt a glimmer of hope. He believed that humanity was finally ready to embrace its destiny, to explore the vastness of the universe with humility and respect. Alara continued analyzing Dr. Meridian's data logs, discovering a hidden message embedded within the recordings, a warning about the dangers of manipulating spacetime without understanding its consequences. The message revealed that the Nexus Point was not just a gateway. It was also a conduit, a pathway for entities from other dimensions to enter Ethelgard's reality. "We opened a door," Dr. Meridian's holographic image warned, "and we may have invited something in." Suddenly, the cavern began to tremble again. The crystalline spire pulsed with an ominous light, and a rift appeared in the air, revealing a glimpse of another dimension. From the rift emerged shadowy figures, beings of immense power and unknown intentions. They were drawn to the Nexus Point, sensing its energy signature across vast distances. "They are here," Rick said, his voice filled with dread. "The entities from beyond." The entities poured forth from the rift, beings of pure energy and shadow, their forms shifting and indistinct. They radiated an aura of ancient power and malevolent intent, their arrival signaling a threat far greater than anything Ethelgard had ever faced. Commander Thorne immediately ordered her forces into defensive positions, preparing for a confrontation that could determine the fate of the colony. Alara recognized the entities from Dr. Meridian's holographic recordings, beings known as the Voidwalkers, interdimensional predators who fed on energy and consumed entire civilizations. The Nexus Point wasn't just a gateway, it was an invitation, a beacon calling them to Ethelgard. Kalen felt the Bloomlands recoil in fear, their vibrant energy dimming as the Voidwalkers encroached upon their domain. He attempted to strengthen the connection between humanity and the ecosystem, hoping to create a shield against the invaders. But the Voidwalker's power was overwhelming, threatening to sever his link entirely. Rix, utilizing his scavenging skills and quick thinking, identified a weakness in the Voidwalker's defenses, a vulnerability to harmonic frequencies that resonated with Ethelgard's natural energy. He theorized that by amplifying these frequencies, they could disrupt the entity's connection to their own dimension and force them back through the rift. "We need to create an echo bloom," Rix said, pointing to a series of ancient resonators scattered throughout the cavern. "Amplify the Bloomland's energy signature, resonate with Ethelgard itself." Alara devised a plan using her engineering expertise to synchronize the resonators and generate a harmonic frequency powerful enough to repel the Voidwalkers. She worked alongside Thorne's engineers, combining their knowledge and resources in a desperate attempt to save Ethelgard. Anya Volkov transmitted a message of hope throughout the Citadel, reminding everyone of the resilience of humanity and the power of unity. She urged them to embrace the Bloomland's energy, to become one with the ecosystem and fight for their survival. Kalen channeled his remaining strength through the Bloomlands, amplifying the harmonic frequencies and creating a wave of resonant energy that washed over the cavern. The crystalline spire pulsed with renewed light, its power surging outwards like a tidal wave. The Voidwalkers recoiled in pain as the harmonic frequency disrupted their connection to their own dimension. Their forms flickered and distorted, threatening to unravel entirely. But they were not easily defeated. They retaliated by unleashing a torrent of dark energy, attempting to overwhelm Ethelgard's defenses. Alara activated the synchronized resonators, generating an echo bloom, a wave of harmonic energy that resonated throughout the entire planet. The Bloomlands responded in kind, their vibrant energy amplifying the signal and creating a protective shield around Ethelgard. The rift began to close, pulling the Voidwalkers back into their own dimension, but before they vanished completely, one entity turned its gaze towards Alara, its eyes burning with malevolent intent. "This is not over," it hissed. "We will return." As the rift sealed shut, a single seed drifted down from the crystalline spire, landing gently in Alara's hand. It pulsed with an ethereal light, radiating warmth and hope. "What is that?" Rix asked, gazing at the seed with wonder. "It's a promise," Anya said softly, appearing beside them. "A reminder that even in the darkest of times, life finds a way." The crystalline spire dimmed, its energy receding as the Nexus Point stabilized. The cavern fell silent, filled only with the echoes of battle and the faint hum of Ethelgard's revitalized ecosystem. Alara looked out at the horizon towards the vibrant Bloomlands stretching out before them. Humanity had faced annihilation and emerged victorious, forever bound to the fate of this moon and the secrets it held. The miracle hadn't just saved them. It had transformed them, forging a deeper connection with the natural world and unlocking a potential they never knew existed. Ethelgard was home, a testament to resilience, unity, and the enduring power of hope.